Welcome to the Leading Hope Podcast with Kevin Jack. Your influence will lead people somewhere, lead them towards hope. Everyone has 20 minutes to learn to become a better leader. Make it count.
Welcome to Leading Hope with Kevin Jack. I'm your host, VJ Williams, here with my friend and pastor, Kevin Jack. Thank you for taking time out of your day to join us and become a better leader. We do a new episode every Wednesday, so we'd love for you to join us on social media, bring others along with us on this journey of becoming a better leader. Visit leadinghope.online to get updates and learn more about the Leading Hope community. If you're new to the podcast or haven't yet subscribed, it mean the world to us if you did that now. Also, post about it, rate and review. You will not believe how that helps get this podcast in the hands of so many more people just like you. And hey, listen, we're live now every week on YouTube and Facebook. So tell your friends, join us. It's going to be fun. We really enjoy having you on each week.
Welcome, it's Keisha, Donna, Laura, Jen. All the people.
And if you guys have questions, remember, drop that in the chat. When we get through, we'll try to get to as many of those as we can. But today we are in our third week of a new development paradigm. Today is episode 77, Kevin. This is a really easy title.
77, Kevin.
Everyone will get this one, right? How to develop.
How to develop.
That's it.
So this is what we actually did. And what we're going to jump into today is it's simplistic in its form. But I had this realization as we prep all these kind of as a series and go through it in advance, that we were missing this gap of actually like showing someone exactly what a development relationship looks like. So as part of this new development paradigm is the idea that, hey, it's not necessarily a skill. It's far more the person that you're developing. And then honestly, I don't know, maybe this shouldn't be said. My favorite episode in the whole series. Was last week.
Okay. You said the favorite ever. I was like, ever?
Of the whole series.
Gotcha.
And so if you didn't get a chance to look at that, please go back, because that's something that has helped me monumentally just for myself and in conversations with others. But today, this is real simple. I've just got a little bit of content. Then we're going to hopefully spend the majority of the time giving you a picture of what this looks like. So you go, hey, I've got this person, this team member, this staff member, whoever it is. For our church, we refer to it as our Hope team, that I want to develop. What does that actually look like? We've given you an all-encompassing picture of you're developing the person. We've given you a tool to use of talking about, hey, the different points of the paradigm of slow decisions, fast decisions, whatever it is, may just need to make tweaks and changes over time. So we want to show you what it actually looks like to develop that person. Okay, so if you're taking notes, this is going to be really, really simple, and then we're going to show you what that looks like through our conversations and in the relationships that we have. So you need 3 really simple things to develop someone. First off, you need a regular meeting time. And I know that may sound like, well, duh, but that's one point that a lot of people miss. They don't know where to get started because they haven't set a rhythm of that meeting. So could be weekly, could be monthly. It should not be less than monthly. You need a regular meeting time. And the frequency of that meeting will be determined around, for one, like what you're developing. So let's say you're a coach and you have a player. It's usually around games. Like the team will go over what happened in the game. That is the regular meeting time in which you're observing. But the frequency of that meeting is determined by, one, how often you are performing, how often you are doing the work. But then the other piece of frequency comes in from the second piece. I said that so terribly.
But you recognized it.
Oh my goodness. I was like, I made this incredibly simple concept as confusing as I possibly could.
Going back to the 40 versus 5 minute, you have time to recover.
Oh my goodness.
Right? You have time to recover.
In our podcast on development and leadership, I am just blowing it. The second thing you need, just stay with me. The second thing you need is you need clarity around their desired level and their current reality. You need real clear, like written down, understood. Both of you have no questions as to where do we want you to be? like with skill set, performance, ability, capacity, whatever it is. This is where I want you to be, and this is where you currently are. The size of that gap will determine the frequency of the meeting. There you go. I should have jumped to that one and got it.
There we go.
If the gap is very small, or like let's say it starts and it's a huge gap, you're meeting often. You're meeting weekly at least. As that gap shortens, you can have less frequent meetings because you'll make really quick strides early on, or you should make really quick strides early on. Closing out that last 5 or 10% becomes a lot more difficult. So you need regular meeting times. You need clarity around the desired level in current reality. And then the third piece is just simply this, is you need clear conversations around those two and the progress that you're making to help them close the gap. You need just open, honest, frank conversations, lots of candor around, hey, we've already clarified, this is where I want you to be. This is where you are. This is what's currently taking place. And so then how that functionally works, how that actually looks out, is it's 1,000 conversations in different meetings. It's sitting down in those meetings going, all right, this is what we said where we are. This is where you started. I think that's an important piece to acknowledge where they started, because that sense of progress is the thing that keeps people moving forward. And that's to go, hey, here's where I think you hit the mark. How do you feel? Where do you feel like you hit the mark? Great. These are good things. Let's keep doing that. All right. Where do you feel like you're falling short? Okay, I would agree with you here and here. I would disagree with you here. I think you're also falling short in these other areas. And they go, okay, so what do we need to do to close that gap? Is there something that needs to change in how you think? Is there something that needs to change in how you plan? Is there something that needs to change in your lead up, in your preparation, in your skill set, in your equipping? How can I give you the tools that you need, the thinking that you need, the values that you need to close the gap from where you are to where you need to be? And for some people, this is like, it's this thought of like, yes, I value development, I want development, but then there's so many people, they think they have developed, and they didn't. They think they've developed. We believe in our culture here at Be Hope, we believe heavily in empowerment. We use this phrase as our value. We give the keys away. And there's this hard thing. You give the keys away to a licensed driver who knows how to drive. You don't throw the keys to a 5-year-old who's never been in a vehicle before. I'm not saying anyone's a 5-year-olds are 5-year-olds, so we're together on that. But if someone is not equipped and you toss them the keys, what you're doing is you're setting them up for a crash and you're destining them for failure. And they go, no, it is the development that needs to take place. And then when the gap is closed, you toss them the keys and you get out of the way. And you quit having the meetings over and over again. Or you change the meetings and you set a new goal in a new idea. But it is that simple. It is to say, I need a regular meeting time. I need clarity around where we are and where we want to be. And then I need really open, honest conversations of, hey, this is where I'm making progress towards that. This is where I'm going backwards or where I'm not making progress fast enough. And this is what I need to do in order to help that. So this is what I want to do.
What do you got?
Okay, I want to spend a bulk of the rest of our time. Okay,
if you want to go there,
yeah, we can do that. But I want to spend some time to be able to go for you to go, for me to go back to go like, here's what it looks like functionally as we go through this, because I want people to have a picture of how honest you have to be, how clear you have to be, and what this actually looks like.
Yeah.
So go.
So,
what do you want?
So Molly has a great question here that came in from YouTube. It says, can this happen in a group setting or primarily in one-on-ones?
What's your thought?
My thought is both.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, I mean, because you can. There's times for both. It depends on the level of development you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And who that person is and how they work with each other. But
how they work with each other is a massive piece of that.
Yeah, I think so. But from your perspective, what do you prefer? What have you found works best? Great question, Molly.
So it's an interesting thing. So you go, if there's a high level of trust on the team, you can do it as a team if it's a similar skill set that needs developed or a similar value that needs developed. Does that make sense? Because it creates this sense of camaraderie. Like we're all the rookies always band together.
Yeah.
Because they're all in it together. And so if you've got a group that you're starting to take through the same thing, goodness, do it together. Because there's this sense of, we really are getting better. Oh, yeah, I did see you did that. And what you're doing is you're showing them how to develop others by taking them through the process.
I think that's the most important thing when you're in the group setting and you're developing people in a group setting, is that they hopefully are seeing and participating in what you're trying to accomplish, and then that rubs off to them and their teams.
Yeah. Now, if there's not a high level of trust or it's really sensitive, it needs to be one-on-one.
Yeah.
My failure at times is, I'll just be honest with you, I don't have time to do a lot of one-on-one development. So I do most of it through groups just because I can get more done by doing it in a group setting. But there's definitely times for it to be one-on-one.
Yeah, for sure. What other questions did you have? Throw them in the chat. Great question, Molly. I do have a question that I think some people will ask. I think I probably already know the answer, but I'm asking for the person that hasn't put the question in the chat yet.
Go.
Is, can you develop in pockets?
What do you mean, like?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Only the pockets that you carry with you. No, so not having a regular meeting time at some point that may become cumbersome.
Got it.
It could be something in a season that you're not able to do. Obviously, everyone agrees that having a regular meeting time is great.
So
if it's not able to do, are you able to do something in pockets that will at least help you to continue developing in a certain season?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Easter.
I would say it like this. If you want like regular development, expect significant development.
Yeah.
Small pockets of development,
Fair.
expect small pockets of development. Like that's just the
So-
if it's a passing comment, expect people to make a small increase.
Yep.
Meet with them every week.
Yeah.
But within that is there should be a high expectation of to say, like I'll say it for myself. If I'm meeting with you weekly, I expect significant improvement.
Yeah.
Like I do not expect small baby steps. If I'm investing this much of my time, you better come in prepared. You better know what you're doing out of that.
Yeah.
So let's talk through. Let's give people a little bit of a picture. So as you do developmental conversations with your team, I know you have these all the time.
Yeah.
Like give a sense of what's that look like? What are even the things, not generic, I mean like what are the things that you're actually bringing up?
A lot of times we're trying to bring up in the church realm, right? Whose life's, obviously everyone's life is important, but like who is God putting in front of us?
Okay.
And how are we reaching them?
Okay.
And so the conversations is, hey, what are the skill sets that each person brings to the table to uniquely address those people? And then how are we striking up conversations in a way that makes them feel comfortable to participate and not just consume?
Good.
So those are the things that we're talking about. And it's to your point, and that's why I asked in pockets, because I think people want to be able to develop in pockets because they can't resource the time. But for me, it has to be a weekly thing. It cannot not be a weekly thing.
So let me, first off, affirm your answer, and then second off, answer for you.
Okay.
Okay. So this so this is what I see you do.
Okay.
For one, you invest an enormous amount of time in with your team.
Yeah.
Like you spend tons of time, not just like you're meeting in person, you're meeting on Zoom, you're texting with them all the time.
Yeah.
You are unbelievably enthusiastic about the things that they are doing well.
Yeah.
Like
Passionate.
Thank
Learned
you.
that Sunday.
Sorry. Yeah, go back and watch the message this Sunday. If you watch it on YouTube, you can watch something absolutely hilarious that happened in the 11 o'clock
true.
service. It was one of my favorite things ever.
You want to do that.
Yeah. But you are passionate about, like, your team doesn't do good and not hear about it.
That's true.
Oh, I think that's really important. We could sit on that for a long time. Like, man, you have to make sure that when they're taking steps that they hear about it, because when they take steps backwards, they're going to hear about it.
Yeah,
that's a hard thing. I could do better
that's
at that.
really good.
I could do better at that, I'm
good.
sure. And so you're just really clear on it. The other thing is you will, and sometimes it aggravates me because you'll do this to me, is you will repeat several times.
Getting real here.
But you will. Well, what else are we going to do?
No, I mean, I like it. I like it. I mean, that's
but
what
you
this
will
is.
repeat several times to go, hey, this is exactly what I need. So some of you may not know this. VJ gives me feedback quite frequently on messages. I ask for the feedback, just to be clear. I'm like, hey, I want this. I've invited that
that's in my notes.
into the process. VJ will grab clips of messages and send them to me and go, do this again. This was good. This was great. Keep doing this. And then, like, every once in a while, it'll pop up and go, yeah, you didn't do that here. Yeah. Remember the clip that I sent you on the thing? Yeah. But you're so clear. I remember I was watching a documentary of the relationship between Nick Saban and Bill Belichick.
Oh.
Nick Saban, Alabama football coach, Bill Belichick, he who now be named team's coach. Sorry, that was fun for me. And so one of the things, Nick Saban served on Bill Belichick's staff, and he said, I always knew exactly what you wanted from me. Other coaches, I was never sure what they wanted, and they would never leave. You told me exactly what you wanted.
Yeah.
You'd walk away, and then you told me where I was falling short. Yeah. And to go like, that was so simple.
Yes.
But powerful.
Very powerful. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So Lisa has a question for you. How do you all always address things that are hot issues for me? Thanks for the great advice. She just wants to know how you're doing it.
I think we should try to answer. No, just kidding. Thanks, Lisa.
So Dina, did you see Dina's question?
I did not.
She says you say you can do development in group settings. How do you do that with different dynamic or different groups of people, meaning different age groups, different personalities, etc.?
You might not be able to.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just just put that as if there's not like a super strong culture in the group of understood values and understood ways of communicating, you probably can't do development in a group. You can't do development in a family in a group setting.
Yeah.
That doesn't work well.
There we go.
But if you have a strong culture with an individual team of people who are in a similar spot, you probably can.
That's good.
So I go, some of my development conversations. I'm sitting down with someone. I'm saying, conversation I had very recently. You are great at this. You need to close the gap because there is always this lack of clarity. And so one of my simple coaching pieces is, hey, why do you think that is? Why do you think you're keep having to revisit these things? They gave their response. I affirmed some of the answer. I agree with some of it. And then I gave a coaching tip and said, what you need to do is you need to come into meetings, with your one-on-one meetings, with written down exactly what you expect and the improvements you want to see over time. And to say, it takes a different level. I think some of your team, they're not all verbal processors. They need to read it in order to process it effectively. And so that's a really simple thing. But what we clarified in the moment is to go, you're not as clear as you need to be. Your clarity is lower than what it needs to be. Good. How do you feel about that? Here's how I feel about that. And let me give you some steps that can close the gap. And so the next conversation is, how's that working?
Yeah.
Are you actually writing it down? If you're not, I really have nothing else to say to you other than go do that, and then we'll talk about it.
That's good. Man, the questions keep rolling in. Thanks for all the questions today, guys. Here's one from Donna. How do you know when you're crossing over from developing and codependently helping?
Oh, I have no idea, Donna. That is a fantastic question, but I am not equipped to answer that.
So there you go, Donna. How about that? We'll research that one for you. So we're about right out of time now, but I do, this was something you just said and you hit on, and I was thinking when you said that we have so many people across the board, no matter what team they serve on, staff, Hope team, they're say, I value development.
Yes.
I want to keep being developed and developing. I don't ask leaders questions.
Oh.
How can we help them? How can we help the person who values development, that wants to be developed, that wants to get better, who strives to do something more today than they did yesterday, and they just don't ask any questions?
Do I give a practical answer?
No, seriously, because no rants. Seriously, I mean, because there's got to be a way for leaders to help them see that asking questions is going to be the way they feel like they can be developed. But if they're not asking the questions, they can't get to the answers.
So, let me handle it not from a person who wants to be developed, but from a leadership person. Okay. So we talked the very first week, you're developing the person. You're developing not just a skill set, you're developing the person. Humility is a virtue. Teachability is a virtue. If you only look at them through their skill sets and go, yeah, but they don't listen, yeah, but they don't learn, that is your responsibility as the developer to call that out. And that is not a fun conversation.
No.
But you're doing them no good by not addressing that conversation.
Yeah.
And so it's really simple things of going, you realize we've been in this meeting for 50 minutes and you haven't asked a single question.
Yeah.
You've done 90% of the talking. You realize that no one wants to come to you with a new idea because you act like you already know everything. And so it's to say, hey, when you realize that you're developing the whole person, we understand that humility is maybe the most important thing that you could develop. As soon as you lose your posture as a student, you cease to grow.
Oh,
I'm going to say that one more time and not stumble over my words.
Yep.
As soon as you lose your posture as a student, you cease to grow. And so that becomes one of the most important things that can be developed.
That's awesome. That's it.
That wasn't a rant. Good. I answered that nicely.
It's perfect. That's the end of episode 77. Wrap it up.
All right, here's the rant. Nothing makes me more crazy than when someone says, Kevin, I need to meet with you. I have some questions. And then they talk the entire time. They're like, I can't answer any questions. You're talking. That's it. We wanted to give you a picture of what it actually looks like to develop. It's not complicated. It does take regularity. Thank you, Veach.
I don't even know how to finish this episode, but this was great. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. If you're new to the podcast or haven't yet subscribed, if that's not a reason to subscribe, I don't know what is. It would mean the world to us if you did. Also post about it, rate and review. You won't believe how that helps get this podcast in the hands of so many leaders just like you. And we love hearing your stories on the podcast is working in your life, in your business, and in your homes. If you have a story, visit leadinghope.online and send that to us. We love hearing from you. And remember, everyone has 20 minutes to learn to become a better leader. Make it count.